Welcome to the latest edition of the Pump Fake. I am Jarrett Bailey, as always. I forgot my name there for a second. That is my friend from SB Nation, John Proctor Acosta. You know, we've been friends for a minute. I've never asked you what the JP stood for.
It's Joseph Patrick. My
Okay, well,
great granddad's name is Joseph, and my dad wanted an excuse to call me JP. So we just came up with a random middle name, and I was like, "Hey, Patrick, it is."
why did your dad want an excuse to call you JP?
I don't know. It's
Oh,
just rolls off the tongue.
oh, it does. It absolutely does. And
Yeah,
I just never. I went the route of the Crucible, John Proctor. Did you read that in English class in high
I
school?
did. I did. We had a whole we spent like 3 months on that book. It was a lot. But when I was a freshman in high school playing football, the one of my coaches said my name sounded like a professional wrestling name. So if I ever do become a pro wrestler, I'm just gonna use JP Acosta. That is that is going to be the gimmick name.
If I ever became a wrestler, my ring name would be Uriah Michelson.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a
Yeah,
good one.
Uriah because I've always liked that name, and Michelson is the last name of a family from Vampire Diaries. So that's where the
That's
two came
perfect.
together. Yeah.
I initially went Michelson, Shawn Michaels' son.
Oh no, had zero to do with like actual wrestling lore. It's a CW teen drama show. So
See, we were in two completely different realms, but somehow we
absolutely,
connected at the same point.
we used the incorrect formula, but got the correct answer.
Exactly. That's all that matters, as long as we get to the right answer.
And hey, speaking of, somehow getting to where they need to be, Stefon Diggs eventually ended up in Bills minicamp after no showing day one. We got Sean McDermott saying he's very concerned that he's not there after Stefon was in Buffalo. His agent was like, I don't know why he's not here. He was just in Buffalo. Everything was very chaotic yesterday, or 2 days ago, I guess, with the Buffalo Bills. And then yesterday, Stefon Diggs shows up, is at mandatory minicamp. He's posting Josh Allen on his Instagram story. And if you felt a breeze come down to Orlando, Florida, that was all of Buffalo collectively exhaling, and it sent a drift down the eastern coast. Um, I really don't know what to make of this, man. This still feels weird from the outside looking in. And look, there's a world where if Buffalo puts it all together, wins a championship, we're all sitting here in February laughing like, man, remember that dig stuff during minicamp and how we thought that it was going to ruin them? Maybe it's the kick in the ass they needed because Stefon Diggs, ever since the loss to Cincinnati, he definitely took that to heart. And there's the picture of him or the video of him barking at Josh Allen on the sideline. He went on that Twitter spree afterwards, talking about how everybody was more mad at his reaction to losing than them losing in the first place. I I don't know, man. From That's a lot of drama for June. How does it look to you?
I think it's all incredibly funny and also incredibly, incredibly dumb. Like we're making a whole lot out of somebody just possibly being like, "Yeah, I just don't like mandatory minicamp. Like, I just don't want to show up in June to be in practices right now." Like that's just maybe Buffalo is just bad vibes. We've never actually considered that Buffalo might just be bad vibes.
Maybe.
But maybe like Stefon Diggs walked in, he saw Josh Allen in the offense doing like a rendition of like Mamma Mia, and he was like, "Yeah, that's enough for me today. I'm out of here." But in all seriousness, I think the Stefon Diggs situation, I really don't think there's much to it because if they did want to trade Stefon Diggs, they literally cannot do it. He signed a 4-year, $96 million extension. The dead cap on that contract right now is sitting at 45 million this year and 31 million next year. There's no reason financially they'd be able to do it. And
No.
on the field, if they traded Stefon Diggs, you're looking at a receiver room of Gabe Davis, Trent Sherfield, Justin
Khalil
Shorter,
Shakir.
Khalil Shakir, Jalen Wayne, Marcel Aitman. It's not good. It is Stephon Diggs is doing a lot of covering up of a bad receiver room.
Without Stefon Diggs, are the Bills the worst receiving core in the NFL?
Mm, it's either them or Tennessee.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. That's exactly where my mind went to.
Tennessee's is bad, but It all depends on what you think of Gabe Davis.
Exactly.
Gabe Davis sometimes is good, but when Gabe Davis is bad, Gabe Davis is awful. So like
Gabe Davis is lightning in a bottle. Like he'll have the game where he'll go 3 catches, 114 yards, and 2 touchdowns, like he did against Pittsburgh, and he'll have games where he just disappears.
I think he is a wide receiver 3 that has to try and be a wide receiver 2 because there is no wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
Wide receiver 2 is Stefon Diggs. Stefon Diggs is also wide receiver 1. So then you just drop down a spot from there. But I really think it is a whole lot of nothing. I think we made it out to be a little scarier because he said he was going to be at minicamp and then he didn't show up. Maybe he just doesn't want to practice. It might just be like, yeah, man, I didn't want to be there. Like I just didn't want to be there for day 1. And it's like, it's fine because he showed up the next day. If he would have not shown up the next day, I feel like there'd be a little bit more there. But combined with him showing up next day, his contract situation, as well as the receiver room behind Stefon Diggs, the Bills are not getting rid of him. The Bills are not going to trade him. Not now.
No, and I don't know. I think, you talk about wide receiver 2, 3, and whatnot. I think that's why you drafted Dalton Kincaid, who's going to be more or less, the second option in the offense, with Gabe Davis kind of being that third guy. Obviously, you still got Dawson Knox there. We'll see what comes of the running back room. James Cook seemed to be the feature back in that offense now. I don't know, man. This is do the Bills have a Sean McDermott problem to you?
It's really tough to say. I don't think so. I think Sean McDermott is a fairly good coach, but I also think the Bills were not structurally built to win in the playoffs. Like they were not built very well in terms of both. First off, their allocation and their distribution of how they've paid pass rushers and how they've drafted pass rushers outside of Von Miller has been really bad. The reason you had to go sign Von Miller was because you drafted AJ Epineza and Boogie Basham back to back, and neither of those guys has turned out to be serviceable yet. That's why you have to go out and get Von Miller. That's why you're banking on a breakout year from them, because you need it this year. So they don't really have pass rush. Their offensive line has kind of been pretty bad.
It's been covered up by a lot of Josh Allen being really good at football.
Like
and
Josh Allen doing the chaos stuff covers up a lot, but they're really bad, and they're not able to run the ball or get tough yards. So when the offense is all built on Josh Allen chaos and deep throws and deep passing, that's what happens when you get to the playoffs and you're not able to get consistent yardage. They were just not built to last in the playoffs. So you're hoping that you draft Osiris Torrance that'll shore up the offensive line. You're hoping that the run game comes around. It's not even like if they can, it's whether they want to. They just don't want to run the ball. And that's where you can kind of get on to Sean McDermott on, hey, maybe you should try doing this a little differently. But he's not a bad coach. I don't think he's like fantastic, but I don't think they have a Sean McDermott problem.
I think if anything, they have a Ken Dorsey problem. When you look at how the offense is skewed, it's balls to the wall. It's playing with Freebird playing in the background, and they don't take the layups in that offense. Like what I go back to with the Bills specifically, a play that sticks out to me is the interception in overtime against Minnesota that sealed the loss. Because if you look at the all-22, he's got Devin Singletary wide open in the flat, and instead he tries threading a needle in a window that's not there in triple coverage, and it's picked off and the game's over. Like, the Bills live in this world where it's 60 yards or it's no yards. And they've got to be able to live with, all right, we'll gain 8 yards here and play for another down, rather than to hell with it. That looks like Stefon Diggs down there. We'll see if we'll catch it.
But I feel like that's kind of the trade-off you get with Josh Allen. Like, he's going to do some real stupid stuff. He's going to make some real stupid throws. That's just Josh Allen lifestyle. But some of those throws end up being like 60-yard bombs that are threaded on a needle. Like, that's the trade-off you have to make. So I feel like the offense really has been a reflection of Josh Allen, the quarterback. and I'm not saying like this like Josh Allen's bad or anything. I just think
No.
that's an area where he needs to improve in taking the layups and in the offense building it in so that he can take the layups instead of being like my only option is either to throw it 60 yards or run it 60 yards.
And I think this is where the offense really missed Brian Dable last year too, is because I mean you saw what he did for Daniel Jones, and I think we kind of in hindsight can say, oh man, you look at Josh's interception and turnover numbers with Dable versus the year without him, and it's vastly different.
Yeah, and I think it's not that Ken Dorsey is a bad OC. I think he's actually like structurally and what they do. Like I see it, I understand why they do it, and it looks really cool. But I think it's more of a play calling is so much like right now. It's like, oh, draw this up and we'll go make sure it works. But a lot of it is of play calling is knowing when to call, what to call, when to call it. I think there was a clip on Twitter the other day where George Kittle was on a podcast. He's talking about how Kyle Shanahan would call run plays specifically, like knowing this wouldn't work against their defense to set up a play action pass that would go for 75 yards. So it's that intentional kind of play calling that I think is kind of missing, but it was also Ken Dorsey's first year as a play caller.
Sure.
Like hopefully he'll improve. I think Buffalo just needs to chill out. I think everybody just needs to take a collective breath, breathe in, breathe out. Everything is going to be fine. Everybody just needs to relax.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think Buffalo's going to fall off a cliff or miss the playoffs or anything like that. Just a lot of noise not even just like over the past few days. It just feels like somewhat of a noisy offseason with a team that didn't make a ton of moves, but is still kind of reeling from last year being like, damn it, that was our year to kind of do this. And we didn't. So we'll see. I agree with you. I think Buffalo just needs to relax for a minute, RELAX, put the whole Aaron Rodgers treatment and just take a chill pill. Yeah. Maybe throw back something and just calm down.
Everybody just needs to relax. Look, if Stefon Diggs just didn't show up at all the entire weekend, after saying he was going to be there, then there'd be a problem. But he showed up. He was there. Like I think everybody just needs to chill. They're banking on improvement within the team, and that's really what you got to hope for.
That is. We'll stick within the AFC East because probably the two most notable remaining free agents are kind of being, I don't want to say penciled in to go to these places, but it seems like if you're betting on where both Dalvin Cook and DeAndre Hopkins are going to go, it seems like Dalvin Cook is the odds-on favorite to go to Miami, and the Patriots hosted DeAndre Hopkins on a visit, and it looks like it went pretty well. In terms of both of these guys, I think Dalvin Cook makes sense to go to Miami. They don't really have a game-changing back on their team right now. DeAndre Hopkins to New England, if I'm DeAndre Hopkins, makes a negative amount of sense to me.
I actually think I like the Hopkins fit.
Stop it, JP. Come on.
More than the Miami fit for Dalvin Cook. And
JP.
The reason why is I think DeAndre Hopkins worked really well with Bill O'Brien on the field. Front office, totally different thing. Bill O'Brien, the GM, sucked. We know that. He traded.
What did he trade Hopkins for? Was it like 2 4th-round picks or something that he got from Arizona?
Johnson and a bag of Doritos.
Yeah, that's basically it.
But on the field, DeAndre Hopkins was extremely productive with Bill O'Brien. I think, of course, DeAndre has lost a step, but he can still be a very good receiver at the catch point and a good outside receiver at the catch point. That's something that the Patriots just don't really have. They don't have that true number one receiver right now. I mean, Juju Smith-Schuster is best as a complement in an offense. You go sign Mike Gesicki, who is a jumbo receiver who will probably play slot the most.
Sure.
I mean, they're missing that catch point receiver. That's the perfect fit for DeAndre Hopkins. For Dalvin Cook in Miami, I get why people think that's like the perfect fit. But I also think Miami's backs were pretty productive within that scheme. I don't think Miami's scheme is one where like, oh, we need a true bell cow running back.
Oh, I
Because
agree. Yeah, I
they're
mean, McDaniel came from the 49ers. It's the same thing where they can kind of just usher in different guys each week, whatever happens,
yeah,
and
they're
they'll be
gonna
productive.
play
So I get what you're saying.
they're gonna play all three running backs,
Yeah,
including Devin A. Chain, who they drafted in the third round. Maybe I'm putting too much onto what they think of Devin A. Chain, but
maybe.
that can be a guy you use in the passing game. Jeff Wilson Jr. is more of the hammer. Raheem Mostert is going to be the speed guy when he's healthy. I mean, Dalvin Cook is going to be fighting for carries there. I actually think him going to Denver would probably make the most sense if he wants to get carries because Javonte Williams recovering from a torn ACL. Samaje Perine is more of a pass protection back.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot of carries in Denver behind an offense that is very clearly wanting to run the ball this year.
Yeah, Sean Payton is saying we're going to run the ball 35 times, and we're not putting the game in Russell Wilson's hands if we don't.
We are
have to.
minimalizing the cooking. We're turning this into the easy bake oven.
This is going to be a TV dinner offense. This is our Stouffer's offense.
Just turn on the microwave. Just turn on the oven. That's all you got to do. Don't do anything. You don't even have to put together the recipe. We got it here for you.
I'm telling you what, man. I had a Stouffer's lasagna and it was great.
See, that's exactly what Russ. That's what Russ should be.
Russ just needs to be a Stouffer's lasagna.
Just be a Stouffer's lasagna, man. You don't gotta try and be the let Russ cook offense. And I think that the Broncos are headed towards making sure that he doesn't have to do everything by himself. He doesn't need to. He shouldn't have to at this point. So I think Dalvin Cook is a better fit for Denver than he is Miami. But I really like, in my head, like on paper, the fit of DeAndre Hopkins in New England.
I think for me, it just in terms of the Hopkins New England fit, it just comes down to I don't believe in Mac Jones. And if I'm DeAndre Hopkins and he's saying, coming out and saying that like winning is the most important thing. If he wants a ring, he's a guy who's going to be a Hall of Famer who doesn't have a ring yet. New England isn't at the top of my list of places I want to go right now. And it's no disrespect to, Bill Belichick or his legacy or anything like that. But since Brady's left, it's not like there's been nothing impressive about New England since Tom Brady's been gone. And like, again, that doesn't tarnish Bill Belichick's legacy, but I think this comes back to the whole head coach, general manager dynamic where Bill Belichick is a defensive guy at heart. And the past few years, there's just been, I'm going to build a really solid defense. We're going to win games 20-19. And that's just what I'm going to do. But I don't know, man. I shouldn't say I don't like I think your reasoning makes sense. It's just if I'm putting myself in DeAndre Hopkins' shoes, New England isn't on my list.
And that's perfectly fair. I understand, like, not having the belief in Mac Jones. The jury's still out on Mac Jones. But
yeah.
The hope is you bring in Bill O'Brien to kind of help Mac Jones get back to a point where he's not actively fighting his offensive coordinators. Like, I do think, Mac Jones is bad, but he also had arguably the worst offensive coordinator tandem.
Oh, yeah. I hear you on that.
But I definitely understand the Mac Jones point. I think,
like, what's Mac Jones' ceiling to you? Mac
Jones' ceiling is, I thought coming out of the draft, Mac Jones' ceiling was he is, how they have variants of Loki. He's a Kirk variant.
I'm going to be honest with you, JP. I've got no idea what the hell you're talking about,
okay.
But you can explain it to me.
He's a variant of Kirk Cousins. I think he is.
Okay. So how like Ryan Tannehill is like athletic Kirk?
I think like Mac Jones is a quarterback you can win with. You can win with Kirk Cousins. You're not going to win because of Kirk Cousins. I don't think you're going to win because of Mac Jones. I think he lacks the creativity outside of the pocket. I think he lacks the athletic tools to be one of those quarterbacks you win because of. And I mean, you can say like, oh, Joe Burrow doesn't have the strongest arm, but Joe Burrow has one-of-one pocket mobility, and he's also 6'4", 230.
Joe Burrow's got one-of-one pocket mobility, and he's incredibly smart post-snap, and pre-snap.
Yeah, so I think Mac Jones' ceiling is the guy who's probably going to be helped a lot by the supporting cast and offensive coordinator. He was helped a lot by the offensive coordinator in 2020 when he helped the Patriots get to the playoffs. Was not helped a lot by Beavis and Butthead in 2022. So this year, you're going to get Bill O'Brien in. Hopefully, he gets him back to just a base level of being a quarterback. And then the supporting cast, plus that defense, it's a log jam in the AFC, but they should be fighting for a playoff spot.
Yeah, I think maybe that's a better question. So as they currently stand right now in the AFC, 16 teams, like if I'm going through, I don't think they're better than anybody in the AFC North. If you want to argue Cleveland because we don't know about Deshaun Watson, you can have Cleveland, I suppose. AFC South, they're better than Tennessee. They're better than Houston. I don't think they're better than anybody in the AFC.
They're better than Indianapolis.
Oh, Indy. I'm sorry. Yeah, they're better than Indy. And I think they're better than Vegas. So they're probably, to me, like the 11th best team right now in the AFC East.
I kind of think they're better than Denver. And the reason,
I'm forgetting teams exist apparently right now, JP Acosta.
Yeah, I think they're right now one of the in the hunt teams. Like if things go right.
Yeah. They're in that, between like 8 and 10 of teams that you can kind of shuffle around.
You can make the playoffs if things go right, but one of those things that has to be right is the quarterback building confidence, not only in the coordinator, but back into himself. Mac Jones lost a lot of confidence last year. And I'm not saying like, oh, poor Mac Jones. He did not play very well. He played bad in some points. But I do think the new coordinator, and if they get DeAndre Hopkins will help him get back to a point where he is an average starting quarterback.
I don't know. I think to me, he is like capped out at being like the 18th or 19th best guy in the league. Like I just feel like that's his absolute cap, and that's if things go really well.
Well, yeah, I think when you look at very funny Twitter user, see Mike Spin Move, Seahawks fan. He created, I think it was a few years ago, the Kirk scale.
Yeah,
quarterbacks who are. So Kirk Cousins is the neutral. He is one Kirk. You have super Kirks who are one Kirk or above, and then non-super Kirks who are one Kirk or below. Mac Jones, at his best, will probably get to one Kirk. He can be like consistently in the 0.75, 0.85 Kirks, but he is a Kirk variant, and I think that's fine if you just want to make the playoffs every year or get close to making the playoffs every year.
Sure.
If you want to like win, you don't need a Kirk variant. You need a dude.
Like here, let me pull something up and we'll play a quick little game when it comes to Kirk Cousins. Oh, I'm sorry, not Kirk, Mac Jones. So like right now, if you could have going into the season, you could have Mac Jones or Baker Mayfield. Who are you taking?
Mac Jones.
I think I would too, which says more about Baker Mayfield than it does Mac Jones, I think. Would you take Mac Jones or Jacoby Brissett?
Mac Jones.
See, I think that's where we differ. I think I might take Jacoby Brissett.
I don't think I would. I think Jacoby Brissett has a clear ceiling of like 6 games if you start him. Like he started most of the Cleveland games, and they weren't that great. They weren't that great in those games, despite having Nick Chubb in the backfield and a really good offensive line. So I think Jacoby Brissett is maxed out at like spot starter.
He's maxed out at non-super Kirk.
Yeah, he's below the Kirk scale.
Would you take Mac Jones this season or Ryan Tannehill?
This is interesting. And the reason I think it's interesting is because Ryan Tannehill is 36 years old.
He's a sneaky 36.
Yeah, man. It caught up to him too. But he's coming off an ankle injury.
Yeah.
That offense was really bad. Didn't have any protection. I think I would take Mac Jones, but I can understand why you'd want Tannehill if you like have everything in place and just needed a guy who gets you close to the playoffs.
Yeah, the Titans were the number 1 seed a few years ago with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. How about that, by the way? The most random 1 seed of recent memory, the Tennessee Titans.
That was wild.
It was.
They had Ryan Tannehill at quarterback and Kratos at running back.
That's the thing with Tennessee too. Like we talked about that. You and I seem to talk about the Titans a lot, which is fine because somebody's got to. I go back and forth with Tennessee, man, because like I don't mean back and forth between like they'll be terrible or a playoff team, but Vrabel does seem to raise their floor. And I look at their roster, they stink. There's nothing on that roster not named Derrick Henry. I'm like, I want that guy right now. But somehow he's probably going to have them at 6 or 7 wins this year. And I'm going to be baffled by it.
I think they're going to be really bad.
I think they should be really bad.
It's going to be really bad. I just don't know how much longer Ryan Tannehill like has left in terms of like what he can do. Ryan Tannehill's at his best because he's confident throwing the ball over the middle and he can use his legs. He can run the ball. If things go wrong, he can run the ball.
Yeah, he's athletic, Kirk.
Yeah, he is. If his ankle isn't fully healed and he's also 36 years old, you lose that ball ability. And as you get older, unless you're Tom Brady, your arm just gets weaker. So if you don't have the confidence or the arm strength to throw it over the middle and the ability to run, I think that's why they drafted Will Levis, because Will Levis is Kentucky Ryan Tannehill. Confidence to throw the ball over the middle and the ability to run if need be.
And you know what? Let's try to pencil in where we think Will Levis is going to inevitably make his season debut, because I think I have it in my head. So let me take you through the first month and a half of their season. They open up at New Orleans. I think that game is honestly a toss-up because I don't think the Saints are going to be great, but they've got the better quarterback and the better structure. So I think New Orleans should win that, especially being at home. So I think that's an 0-1 start for the Titans. Then they host the Chargers. It's a cross-country trip for the Chargers, but they're the better team and they should win. But at the same time, it is the Chargers, JP Acosta, and God only knows what's going to happen with them every week.
There's going to be a catastrophic injury, and then the Chargers will just go back to being the Chargers.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of a toss-up there. But I might give that one to Tennessee just because they're better coached and it's early season and it's the Chargers, so why not?
I would give that to the Chargers. I think Mike Vrabel is a great coach. That's a bad roster offensively. It's really bad.
After that, they go to Cleveland, host Cincinnati, travel to Indianapolis, host Baltimore.
I mean, you might get
maybe a win there. Like out of those first 6 games, that's a 1-5 start. I think maybe 2-4 if you get lucky. Then they have their bye week, and they come off their bye hosting the Atlanta Falcons at home, and I think that's where we see Will Levis in Week 8.
Yeah, that's a real nice point there. I think home game, especially off a bye, that sounds like Will Levis time. What else do they have on the rest of their schedule? Maybe I think he might be a little bit of a later starter.
So they host the Falcons Week 8, and then after that they travel to Pittsburgh on Thursday night. Then they go to Tampa Bay. Maybe that could be the Will Levis game.
Road game. I wouldn't start on first career game on the road.
Okay. Then they travel to Jacksonville after Tampa Bay. So they got 3 consecutive road games after. That is rough.
It's rough.
And then they host Carolina.
That's
Bryce
sneaky.
Young versus Will Levis.
That's sneaky. Home game against Carolina.
But at the same time, man, that's like week 14. Like, do you wait that long?
I mean, if this team, like we said with Mike Vrabel at the top, he's going to try and win. Like,
yeah,
he raises the floor, but at the same time, like, how low is this floor? How high are we raising this thing?
I think you and I both agree that roster-wise, this team will be competing, like, should be on paper a bottom 3 team in the league.
Yeah.
So I think their floor, theoretically, is like 2-3 wins. I think Vrabel probably raises that by at least a game. So they could be hovering around the 5-win range as a whole, going 5-12.
Yeah, I definitely think after the bye at home against Atlanta, that's where we might see Levis. If not,
I feel like
then
it's got to be.
if not, then you might just
Unless you're starting them on the road, which you and I both agree that's even as bad as Tampa Bay going to be, in my opinion. I still think I agree with you. It should be a home game to have them as comfortable as humanly possible. But I mean, after the Atlanta game, it's 3 consecutive road games. So the Atlanta game takes place on October 29th. They don't have another home game until November 26th.
I mean, it would be week 14, but it's better than not getting him any game reps at all.
That's what I'm saying.
I think it's either coming off the bye at home against Atlanta or coming off the road trip, especially if that road trip goes real bad.
Oh, yeah. Because, again, it's
absolutely
at Pittsburgh, at Tampa, at Jacksonville. I don't think they're at best they win at Tampa, but they're getting smoked the other 2 games.
Yeah. I mean, the Jacksonville game is always tricky because it's a divisional game.
Sure.
But you're coming off
we saw Josh Dobbs almost beat Jacksonville last year. So
we're coming off that road trip 0-3. And it might be Levis time after that.
I was gonna say, if you're going into week 14, like 3-10, 3-9, what do you got to lose at that point?
Yeah, I mean, if you win, then you might have a quarterback. If you lose, you're in like the top 5 of the draft. Nothing matters at that point if you are a bad team.
And what also could come of this, like if they do put him in, let's say they do it against Atlanta and he's bad and they stink, well, then it's a good quarterback class coming. And if you don't like Will Levis, well, you got Drake May sitting right there if you can't get Caleb Williams.
He was a 2nd-round draft pick. Not, of course, like, I don't think it's that high of capital. They kind of recognize, like, hey, if he's bad, we're not tied to him.
Yeah, it's basically Drew Lock in Denver.
Yeah, pretty much. It's if it works, cool. If it doesn't, then we are A-okay with moving on.
Absolutely. Oh, goodness. The Titans fascinate me. I know we spend so much time on them, but I mean, it is you're a Jaguars guy, so it works into the Jaguars conversation. I did a watch the tape on Trevor Lawrence. There were so many throws that he made last year, a few specifically against the Titans, and I posted one in the video. He's moving to his left, feet not planted or anything, uncorks a bomb to Zay Jones, fits it in the smallest of windows, and hits Zay Jones in the face in the end zone. I think that was his best throw of the season, and Zay Jones dropped it, and it really upset me.
What play you're talking about? It was the road game against Tennessee.
Correct.
We're running. It was a play action. I think it was Yankee. They had Christian Kirk coming across
the middle. Yep.
I thought it was Jamal Agnew running the deep post. It might have been Zay Jones, but there were two Titans defenders right here.
Yeah,
come to the point.
They were like intercepting.
Throws it right in between there.
Yeah,
I was actually in a restaurant as I was seeing that throw. Like I was eating dinner with family. I was seeing that throw go up. I almost got out of my seat, man. I was getting ready to like sprint down the hall of this random restaurant. People looking at me crazy because I'm like, that's my quarterback, man. He just made a crazy throw. It might be one of the best throws that I've seen that was an incompletion. And it was still one of the best throws that I saw like all of last season. There are a few by some quarterbacks that just stick in my head like rent free, like the Geno throw against the Saints.
Yeah, I saw the Ian Hartz posted that the other day, and that was disgusting.
Then the 60-yard throw Justin Herbert had against the Jaguars in the regular season. This was the first game after.
That's when they lost by like $1 billion to Jacksonville at home.
Yeah, they got destroyed, but it was the first game after the broken ribs, and he just
against Kansas City
60-yard bomb, and I'm like, that man cannot be injured if he's doing that. You cannot convince me that man is not built out of vibranium.
So I'm going to ask you this, and I'm glad that I brought up the Jaguars and everything and Trevor Lawrence as well. And I mean, you might be a little bit biased in this, but that's okay. You can pick one for the next 5 years, Trevor Lawrence or Justin Herbert. Which one are you taking?
I'm going to take Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
I think what Trevor does so well is he can do kind of the robot stuff, like the nitty gritty of quarterbacking. Like I think about all the time, Dak is a robot at quarterback. He can get through the ins and outs of quarterbacking. But at the same time, Trevor has this ability where if things go wrong, he goes, "I'm Trevor freaking Lawrence, and I'll go make a throw. I'll throw a guy open." And that's really like I don't think it's what separates Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence because I think both guys can do that. I just think Justin Herbert I feel like he kind of holds himself back because of how safe the offense was.
Yeah, I think getting rid of Lombardi and bringing in Kellen Moore will bring out all of the best aspects of Justin Herbert.
But I feel like in a few ways, Kellen Moore and Joe Lombardi's offenses were a little similar, except Kellen Moore wasn't running stick all the time. Kellen Moore was running Hank all the time. Double curls on the outside. It was 8-yard curls or like 8-yard stop routes. It was the throw Dak threw a pick on in the divisional game against the Niners.
To Demo Lenore,
where Gallup turned the wrong way.
Yeah,
that's the Kellen Moore special. It's Hank or outside stop routes to the outside. It'll probably fit with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, but at some point you gotta let the kid throw the deep ball. You know, you gotta.
Orlovsky made a really good point about Justin Herbert last year, and I think it was after the Atlanta game where he said, "It looks to me like Justin Herbert is throwing deep like 3 times a game just to say he threw the ball deep a few times a game. Like he there could be a guy who you could get the safe 5 yards, or you got Mike Williams in double coverage, but he hasn't done anything all game, like throwing the ball wise. And he's like, I need to at least see if something will happen. So he's just kind of uncorking balls that, not to his fault, have no chance, but like he just feels like he needs to throw the ball deep. And I thought that was a good point that was made because he didn't get a whole hell of a lot of opportunities to do that.
And hopefully the offensive line holds up this year. Rashawn Slater will be back. Hopefully protection will allow him to give the opportunity to throw deep. I think this year is going to be a really interesting Justin Herbert year because I think we all agree Justin Herbert is like a top 5-6 quarterback in the league.
I think it's going to be a much more interesting Brandon Staley, Tom Telesco year.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be real interesting what happens with them at the end of this year, but it's going to be interesting where we see Justin Herbert during this year because the offensive line should be healthy. You got some more receiver help. It'll be interesting to see what Kellen Moore does with this offense because I kind of think he and Joe, like I said, I think he and Joe Lombardi are a little more similar than people think. But we'll see. It'll be an interesting year for the Chargers.
Philadelphia drafted a lot of Georgia Bulldogs. The Los Angeles Chargers drafted a bunch of TCU Horned Frogs. I think they took both receivers, and then they took Duggan.
They saw TCU get obliterated in SoFi and said, "We can't be the only ones." They knew they had a common relationship, and that was getting destroyed. In SoFi, and they're like, "Yeah, man, come join us." Max Duggan, future tight end. Quentin Johnston, I think I was intrigued by the pick considering Zay Flowers was still there.
I thought Zay Flowers was a pencil in guy if he made it to the Chargers that they would take him.
But Quentin Johnston fits the Tom Telesco height, weight, speed thing. And he's also going to do the one thing that they need, which is like run far down the field.
They have zero speed outside of him. Like Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are really good at the point guys, and Keenan Allen's a really good route runner. None of them have like game-breaking speed at the receiver position.
Think at this point, Keenan Allen is a big slot. That's
probably a good call by you.
Right now, Quentin Johnston, I think he runs 2 routes. He runs the go, and I think he runs the drag. I think you need to get him in. His best routes will be kind of he needs to be on the Christian Watson diet, like from last year. You get him on jet sweeps, you get him on crossing routes, or you want him running away from defenders either vertically or horizontally. That's where you can use his run after the catch ability. Yeah. You want to get him in free releases, so they're going to move him around a lot. But it'll be intriguing because they have a bunch of tall receivers. And hopefully the offense opens up a little more. I think if this offense remains constricted, it'll be interesting to see what happens, like in terms of how he discussed Justin Herbert, but also how he discussed Kellen Moore.
If I gave you an over under 1.5 AFC West teams make the playoffs, what are you taking?
Right now, I'm taking the under. I'm taking the under mainly because I think the Dolphins are going to be really good. And I also think the Ravens are going to be really good. And then you also
those are the three that it came down to for me when picking the 7 seed is Miami, Baltimore, and the Chargers. And I originally picked the Chargers, and the weeks since, like, done a lot of thinking. I was like, how many times do I got to drink the Chargers Kool-Aid and them let me down before I finally learn my lesson? And how many times do I have to see John Harbaugh and Lamar get into the playoffs before, I pick them over the, like, I think I'm kind of backing up on the Chargers until they prove to me that they are worthy of being that team that's put in the playoffs. So if I had to rank them right now, looking back on it, I would probably go Baltimore, Miami, Los Angeles. And again, it's no fault to the quarterback because I think that, like we said, I think Justin Herbert is a top 5 quarterback in the league. It's just he is the victim of a situation that is not advantageous.
I also think the supporting casts are a little better in Miami and Baltimore, not just offensively, but around the whole team. Baltimore's defense is really good. They're primed for a big breakout year this year. I think with Mike McDonald, second year as defensive coordinator, he really started to turn it on after Roquan Smith got traded there. Roquan Smith is so good.
Yeah, he's pretty all right.
So good at linebacker. Kyle Hamilton really started to excel a lot more when you moved him to closer to the line of scrimmage. I think that's where he's best in that kind of that rover nickel spot where you can match him up on tight ends and he can set the edge. The corners should be healthy this year. Like they're not going to be as insanely injured at corner as they were last year.
Yeah.
And then the offense.
Outside of Marlon Humphrey, who do they have at cornerback though? That's probably the only spot I'm like super concerned with. Maybe the defensive line too, depending on if Pierce can stay healthy. Like the middle of their defense is obviously really good, and they've got some studs on the back end. It's just depth issue at corner, maybe like defensive line.
Well, I think that's why they signed Rock Ya-Sin. I don't know if Rock Ya-Sin is like that we signed Rock Ya-Sin league thing, but he's fine as a second corner. I think the guys they brought in, like Kai Blue Kelly, is really nice fit for them.
Loved him at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, loved him at the Senior Bowl. I think the bigger question for me is how are they going to generate pass rush? This is really a bet on, is if David Ojabo comes back healthy and is the David Ojabo we saw at Michigan, we might have something cooking here because you got him, you got Lafayette, Justin Madubuike, silently, quietly, very good player. Justin Madubuike rocks. You can tell how excited I get talking about defensive linemen. But Travis Jones was
that's why you and I have a good what's the word I'm looking for? We're like peanut butter and jelly. We got a good dynamic because you love that stuff more than I do.
I think Justin Madubuike is really good. They just need that edge presence to be a little better. They need Odafe Oweh to be a little better. They need David Ojabo to come back a little healthier. Hey, we'll see. We will see. But I also think in Miami, that defense is going to be pretty fun. Defense is going to be really good. I
expect a big year from Jalen Phillips in Miami. He's had a couple years of like 7.5, 8 sacks. I think this is a prime year where he can be a double digit sack guy.
Jalen Phillips would have had double-digit sacks last year if he could tackle. He just could not tackle. He would get there and he wouldn't just finish through. And it'd be so frustrating, so aggravating. But you have him on the front lines. You have Christian Wilkins, who is really good.
He's quite good.
He does not generate the sack numbers like the tier 1 defensive tackles, but he is so good against
disruptor.
And I think a lot of why his sack numbers were so low is because of how much blitzing and pressure Miami brought under the past defensive coordinators, because he was kind of just asked to take up the blockers while we had a guy screaming off the edge unblocked. So now in a defense where you're not going to have that many pressures, that much blitzing, we'll see how good of a pass rusher he really is.
Yeah.
Who else? Oh yeah,
We got Bradley Chubb.
Bradley Chubb, very good. I was like, oh yeah, they traded for Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, they sure did.
Yeah, in case we forgot, Jalen Ramsey is really freaking good, and it allows you to play. He can play everywhere in the defensive backfield. He can play corner. You can play him at star. I think he's best at star, and you can play like if you want to play him outside, you can play Kader Kohu and nickel. You can play Cam Smith outside if you want Jalen Ramsey to play inside and nickel. Javon Holland is a star.
I think Javon Holland has a big breakout year this year.
He's going to
especially with Fangio, a defensive coordinator. I think he's going to thrive.
He is everywhere. He's always around the ball, extremely productive. And he's also kind of de facto leader of that defense. I really do have questions about the middle, especially a linebacker. Yeah. We'll see if David Long can replicate what he did in Tennessee. Jamal Baker is kind of meh. I think he's fine will linebacker, but they are pretty thin there. But outside of that, man, if Tua's healthy, then that team is really good.
That has been a big if. So we'll see, obviously wishing Tua the best with his head and whatnot. He got the new bonnet to, protect against the concussions and whatnot. Did you see him running around practice with an HD camera on the top of his helmet a few days ago?
No, I didn't.
It was like, it wasn't like the one on like the side of the helmet that they were using. No, it was like it was almost comical how big it was.
It looked kind of like a GoPro.
No. Have you ever seen the movie I Spy with Owen Wilson and Eddie Murphy?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know if you remember the scene. It's like kind of near the beginning of the movie, but Owen Wilson's pissed off because like there's this other spy has really cool like equipment and whatnot, and he's got like the shit equipment, and he's holding this big ass camera and like this tiny ass like sneaky camera, and he's like, "This is Carlos's camera and this is my spy camera," and he's like pissed off about it. It looked like they took that camera that Owen Wilson was holding and duct taped it to the top of Tua's helmet.
Oh, it's like they gave him a little jumbotron.
It was very big.
that actually is kind of funny. I want to see a player wear that in the game. Just run around with a big satellite dish on your helmet.
I think that could be fun. Yeah, like a little direct TV.
That's how you get the plays in. You gotta
the
sideline, and that's how you get plays in.
I love it. All right. So the thing that you and I both came here for.
That's right.
We are going to draft Disney movies.
Oh yeah.
Five apiece. Here, I'm gonna hold odd or even, and I'll be perfectly honest with this. I'll hold between 1 and 5. Pick odd or even.
Even.
It was a 3.
Okay.
All right. So I will go first, and then we'll just alternate.
All right. Quick question.
So go ahead.
Is this Disney and Pixar?
I was gonna say Disney and Pixar because Pixar is owned by Disney, so all of them are in play here during the draft. So my 1.1, and I would hate myself if I didn't pick it. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm taking Toy Story.
Okay, that's a solid one. That's the get on base pick.
Yeah. That's a high OBS score in baseball. Yeah. All right.
It's not a home run, but it is a solid double.
Exactly. All right. Your first pick.
My first pick is, of course, The Lion King.
That's also a good pick.
It has arguably the greatest soundtrack.
Oh, dude. Such a good soundtrack.
And like the movie's awesome. So
it is a great movie.
It is. I showed it to my sister and she loved it.
I'm tempted just to draft movies off soundtracks now because there's so many really good ones.
So many.
I'm gonna save this one. I have one in my head that I kind of want to wait on because I think I can still get it. I will take. I've already psyched myself out. All right, I will take. I'm going to take one of the classic princess ones because I think it's really good. I will take Beauty and the Beast.
So I understand the pick. I am of the belief that Beauty and the Beast is a little overrated.
I love Beauty and the Beast. It was one of my favorites as a kid, so I have a lot of nostalgia and love for it. Explain your reasoning. What's your reasoning for disliking Beauty and the Beast?
Belle just ends up falling for this dude, even though he kidnapped her dad and
You
locked him.
did tweet about this. Okay, it's coming back to me. All right.
Like, what is the reason behind this? Like, why are you still like, yeah, I'm gonna marry this guy?
They danced in a library, JP. Beautiful.
Congrats, you nerd. Your dad is crying in a locked up tower, and you're out here dancing.
Oh, that's funny. All right, make your second pick.
My second pick is the better Toy Story movie, Toy Story 2.
I think Toy Story is one of very few, and might be the only series where each movie gets better.
I don't know if it's just really hard to come off of the high of 1, 2, 3, and then 4. 4 felt kind of like a step down, and I think 3 felt
even then. It's still a very good movie.
They're great movies, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna match the 1 and 2.
Okay, fair enough. 2 is very good. I do love Toy Story.
2 is awesome. It's got one of the most aesthetically pleasing scenes in Pixar, where
Woody gets
Woody's
fixed up to be painted.
That was just all watching it now. I'm like, oh man, that is perfect. You just got
That's like adult porn at that point where you're just like, oh yeah, you paint that doll.
They did that just for parents.
Absolutely. You know that scene in that episode of South Park where Randy gets turned on by the Food Network.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like that.
Kind of like that,
for Paris. All right, so I did save this one. I'm pretty happy it's still there. I'm taking this one. It's a really good movie, great vibes, good feel good story, empowering story, and the best Disney song of all time. I'm taking Mulan.
That was gonna be my next pick.
Yeah,
I need
that.
It is the greatest Disney song of all time.
Absolutely.
I don't want any other arguments.
Nope.
Like that song can cross over. Like you just say like you must be swift as a coursing river. Somebody's gonna scream, "Be a man," and people understand it.
Yes.
People get it. My third pick is, if you know me, this is my brand. A Goofy movie.
Yeah, you know what, buddy? That's a fantastic pick.
It is one of the most underrated movies that Disney
I agree.
Released. Such a cool movie. Goofy is still like of the original Disney characters. He is my favorite because like in the Goofy movie, he's just a dad.
Yeah, man.
To raise his son, and I'm like, I feel that. And Powerline, Eye to Eye, awesome Disney song.
Oh, that's an underrated Disney song.
Underrated, but to me, it is a top 10 because I listen to that all the time.
All right. My fourth pick. There's a couple personal favorites that I want to take here. And I'm going to take one of them. And some are going to say that I might be overdrafting this one. Some might not even draft it at all, but I like it a lot. It's one of my favorites. I'm going to take 101 Dalmatians.
Ooh, sneaky. That's a sneaky pick.
I think aesthetic, like especially in the wintertime around Christmas, I think watching that in like December, it matches the vibes. I think Cruella de Vil, all-time great villain. It's just a fun movie. Old timey, just feels homey.
It's just another cool movie like that, and the Aristocrats, just very cool movies.
Speaking of underrated Disney songs, O'Malley the Alley Cat.
Everybody Wants to Be a Cat.
Yeah,
banger. Just a banger. I'm going to parody myself once again with the fourth pick and go with my favorite Pixar movie of all time.
Okay.
Cars.
People shit on Cars all the time, JP. I don't understand it. I love
Cars. Is fantastic.
Great
the
movie.
Scene where they light up Radiator Springs is the best scene in Pixar history.
Absolutely, and it was one of the highlights of my childhood, that scene. I love that movie.
I listen to Shaboom. I listen to that all the time. also, that soundtrack was made just for Cars, which means Life is a Highway is a
Disney song.
Life is a Highway is one of the best Disney songs ever, man. You know how good Life is a Highway is? Every time I think of or see the phrase Life is a Highway, I think of Rascal Flats. Not whoever
Absolutely.
sung it before. I think of
Who
Lightning
did sing it before?
Mac driving along Route 66 to get
Yes.
to the Piston Cup. Also, Chick Hicks, generational hater.
Great villain.
Generational hater. You didn't have any reason to like him or not. He was just a bad dude.
Yeah,
He was just not likable at all. And the mustache was hilarious.
absolutely.
He's so good of a hater. He was hating on Lightning McQueen even in Cars 3 after he retired and went up to the booth. That is elite hating. We're not going to see levels of hateration like that ever again.
And I think they really incorporated like Daryl Waltrip being Daryl Cartrip, and Bob Costas had a different name too. I can't remember it.
I think it might have been Bob Carstis.
Something like that. It wasn't, but I do love that movie. I think the cast was very good. Like Owen Wilson was the perfect voice actor for Lightning McQueen. Oh
He was
God,
Bob Cutlass.
great.
It's just perfect. Also, the scene of Doc racing around the dirt track.
Yes.
Another aesthetically cool looking shot.
Mater's like an all-time beloved character in the Disneyverse.
Like, I don't think you'll find a person who doesn't like Mater.
No. If you don't like Mater, it's a red flag to me.
Of course. Yeah. Like, what's there not to like? It's Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah, I was going to say, bless Larry the Cable Guy.
Backwards.
That's great. All right. That is a very good pick. For my fifth pick, I'm down to a couple that I really like. I'm going to tell you ones that I'll tell you ones after that didn't make the cut. I don't want to give you any ideas on beating me on this because you already beat me in the helmet draft. Oh man. So there's one that I'm probably leaning toward taking that I really like. There's a couple classics. Like I'm not going to take Cinderella. I can tell you that. I'm not going to take Snow White. Might be a hot take. I don't really like Cinderella.
I think Cinderella is good for what it does. Like the bippity boppity boo, of course. That's cool.
It's iconic.
Yeah, it's iconic. The Cinderella dancing with the prince, iconic. Like castle, it's good. Outside of that, like it's just your campy 60s Disney movie.
So I'm going to take one that I hold very near and dear to my childhood. I am going to take Robin Hood.
Ooh, sneak. That's another good
really good sneaky one. Really good sneaky opening song.
Mm-hmm.
Ode to Lolly. I think that's how he says it. Yeah.
Not Nottingham.
Oh man, yes, that song is so depressing, but it's really good.
It's so depressing, but it's such a good song.
Such a good movie, such a good song. Oh yeah, I absolutely love it. I'm gonna give you an honorable mention after you make yours because it's it's obviously a Disney movie, but it's a seasonal one. So I'll explain after you make your pick.
All right, so my pick is between two movies that were both made after 2010. I honestly kind of think the new Disney movies are actually really good. Like there are some certified bangers in there, and this is
I think a lot of them are good. It's just I think I have a lot of nostalgia through like the older animation style.
Hold you over, but this is one of them that I think is one of the best.
I think I know you're going with.
I'm going Encanto in my pick.
Encanto.
Yes, that movie is amazing.
I'm gonna be honest with you, JP. I haven't seen it.
Oh my god, you have to just listen to the soundtrack. The soundtrack is awesome.
I thought you were going with Coco.
Going with what?
I thought you were going with Coco.
No, Coco's also a very good.
Coco's very good. That's why when you said post 2010, I was like, all right, there's one that comes to mind, and it's Coco.
But Encanto is one of my baby sister's favorites. I think I know the entire soundtrack by heart by now.
What's it even about?
What's
it about?
So this family all has magical gifts except for one child who doesn't. And she has to go on a trip. She has to go on a journey to figure out what her magical gift is.
That sounds nice.
It's a very good movie. It gets very sad. Like near the end, it gets real sad.
That's fine. I'll cry during movies. I don't care.
You watch it, you'll know. And you'll know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
But the soundtrack is perfect. Like every song on there is a banger.
Okay.
and it's probably like Lin-Manuel Miranda's like best Disney work.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm going Encanto here. I had a couple of honorable mentions, but I'm gonna let you do
Yeah,
your
yeah. We'll get to our honorable mentions. So, Hercules was a big one because I love the Hercules soundtrack.
amazing soundtrack.
Very good soundtrack. The one that I almost wanted to take, even though like it would only pop me, Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas.
See, I thought you were gonna go with Nightmare Before Christmas.
Is that a Disney movie?
That is a Disney movie.
I did not know that.
Nightmare Before Christmas is a Disney movie. I would have gone with it if I could watch it in any period outside of October or December.
Sure.
But it's once you get to those, it's like All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, as soon as the clock hits December 1st, this is Halloween getting played. But I actually have two honorable mentions. The one that I was going to pick over Encanto, but chose Encanto, was Moana.
Moana's good.
For my money, Moana is better than both Frozen movies.
Like it's better than what?
It's better than both Frozen movies.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
And the second one, it'll probably only pop me.
Okay.
Or like my sister, if she listens to this. Meet the Robinsons. Meet the Robinsons is one of the most underrated Disney movies of all time. It doesn't have I don't think it has like more than one song on it, but it's about this kid who's a really smart kid, inventor, who goes to the future and somehow finds his future family. And it's one of the coolest movies ever. It's so fun. It's so fun. The characters are real quirky. It's another like Acosta family classic. Also, Brother Bear, another
Brother Bear.
Brother
Bear is a Disney movie. I thought that was DreamWorks.
Brother Bear is a Disney movie. Atlantis, Lost Empire.
I was just about to say, like that era of Disney movies, Atlantis, Lost Empire, Hunchback of Notre Dame, like those are both very.
Hunchback of Notre Dame is not a children's movie.
No, absolutely not. No,
that movie
is a PG-13 rating. At least it should be.
That is a depressing movie.
Yeah, very. But it's good.
It's awesome. Like I watch it now and be like, "Hey, this is a great movie." But when I was like 10, it traumatized me.
Yeah, like the Hellfire song is
amazing.
It's good. It's scary.
So evil. Like this guy is such a bad person. Princess and the Frog also
slaps.
Classic. Soundtrack's awesome. I think one of the new ones that kind of stood out to me outside of Encanto was Soul. Soul is really good.
I haven't seen Soul either.
It took me a second watch to actually get like Soul.
Okay.
It was really good. I almost chose WALL-E because like it's a cute little robot. It's a cute robot learning how to find love in a environmental wasteland.
Have you seen the conspiracy theory about WALL-E?
I might have, but you got to refresh my memory.
That WALL-E like caused the apocalypse or something.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
And it makes sense, but I'm also like, no, this is my innocent boy.
Yep. I agree.
Up. Just
Up was one that I almost chose as well.
The first 10 minutes of Up kind of carry the entire movie, but those first
10 I disagree. I think overall it's a really good movie, but those first 10 minutes are iconic forever in Disney lore.
The first 10 minutes, that was the first time as a kid I ever saw my parents cry.
Like really?
Yes. And I was like, are y'all good? Like, what am I watching? I would be remiss if I did a Disney movie thing and didn't shout out my sister who loves Ratatouille.
Ratatouille is a good one.
Ratatouille is a great one. Very, very low key. Pixar has the most consistent like banger of Disney movies, but I don't think Disney really has reached the low of Cars 2 or Planes.
Cars 2 is bad.
Cars 2 is bad. Planes is really bad. I wouldn't blame you for watching that. But yeah, man, there's so many. I think I might do a tier list for SB Nation of Disney movies.
I hope you do. I'll gladly read it.
Yeah, I love it. Love the idea. But I'm good with what I drafted. I drafted the JP Classics. I knew I could get Cars in the 4th round because nobody seems to like Cars.
I like Cars.
Like that. I don't know why it gets so like shit on.
I don't either.
I guess because it got caught between like Toy Story Incredibles, just another like.
Oh, damn it! Yeah, none of us took The Incredibles. Yeah,
Finding Nemo is also.
damn it!
Yeah, man, Pixar like consistently like
Monsters Inc.
There was a run. I think like let me look it up. Pixar movies list. Yeah, there was a run like I think it was like from 95 to honestly like 2010, where it was Toy Story,
A
Bugs
Bug's Life.
Toy Story 2, Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Cars, Ratatouille, Wall-E, Up, Toy Story 3.
They went like 10 for 10.
That's a phenomenal run.
That's like Bill Russell Celtics stuff.
That is insane. Where they just did all that. Maybe the only miss might be A Bug's Life, depending on who you talk to.
I mean, it's not like one of the ones I'll go to, but like I've seen it and I didn't despise it.
Yeah, I won't like say, "Hey, turn this off" if somebody puts on A Bug's Life, but I don't think people are like putting on A Bug's Life. But Pixar, like very consistently, does good movies. Now, post Cars 2, you got Brave.
That's hit and miss.
Monster University is pretty good. Inside Out is actually like really good.
Inside Out is very good, and has one of the sadder Disney deaths of the imaginary friend. Bing Bong, yes. Dude, I gotta tell you, the first time I saw that, I can't remember how old I was, but like at the end when the girl like breaks down, I could watch that today and it will still make me cry like a baby. Like that is a powerful, just ugly cry scene.
Like this kid's having a breakdown because she just wants to go home. I'm like, man,
I feel that.
I felt like that. Like I think Good Dinosaur, Finding Dory, Cars 3 was actually like really good.
Finding Dory was pretty solid. I like Finding Dory.
Dory was fun. Coco, I mean,
Coco's great.
Just an amazing movie. Also incredibly sad.
Yes. Like Pixar does this thing where like they will make a very fun movie, but also like make it like life lesson, relatable and impactful emotionally. And I love that.
Like, oh, you have to, the main thing is like you want to have a good relationship with your family so you don't become forgotten and like the whole concept get forgotten after you're gone. But no, we're just gonna cover that in some little skeleton playing mariachi and everybody's like woohoo, and nobody's gonna actually see like, dang,
yeah,
forgotten by my family.
Yeah.
Incredibles 2 was all right. Toy Story 4. Onward was actually like, it was kind of fun. I think it's very nerdy.
I haven't seen Onward.
It's got a lot to do with like magic. Tom Holland and Chris play brothers in the
movie. Oh, okay. Oh, I know exactly the movie you're talking about. I just haven't seen it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the one where their dad passes away or something, or this has something to do with their dad, right? Yeah.
Their dad passed away. And they're like, the kid like learns magic.
Yeah.
Soul, really good. Luca is a really fun movie.
I've not seen that either.
It's about these two like fish like kids who want to come up from the water and actually be humans. It sounds
like Finding Nemo crossed with Little Mermaid.
Yes, without the singing.
Oh,
and also very Italian. So, I will say that it is the Little Mermaid if there was no singing and everybody was extremely Italian. It does take place in Italy.
Okay, so that's fun.
It's very Italian, very fun. Turning Red, I thought I was gonna hate Turning Red.
I have no idea what that is either. You are much more in tune with recent Pixar than I am.
Yeah, I'm a nerd.
Hey, I like it.
This kid in Turning Red can turn into a giant red panda, but it has a lot. It's a lot deeper and more just like a lot of family issues and like wanting to be yourself and getting away from like what your parents want you to do. And it's also kind of sad, but again, like Pixar and Disney do this thing where like you said, they hide depressing like mantras or tropes in an amazing soundtrack.
I'm looking at more because there's more that like will come to mind, like great Mouse Detective. I didn't say I think that movie's great.
Oh, that's another one where like it's really sad, but like
Lilo and Stitch. None of us said Lilo and Stitch.
oh, Lilo and Stitch is so good.
So good. 21 years ago today that it came out.
Wow. 21 years ago.
None of us said Pocahontas, but I don't like that movie.
So I think Pocahontas is also overrated. I think Pocahontas and Tarzan are overrated. And
I like Tarzan. I think the soundtrack of Tarzan kind of carries the movie, though.
That's the exact reason why I think Tarzan and Pocahontas are overrated. Outside of saying the soundtrack is good, what else can you really say about that movie?
Yeah, I suppose so. Dumbo scares the hell out of me. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like there's that scene with like that weird acid trip type stuff, and I was like, I'm out on Dumbo.
I watched that one night. I couldn't sleep for some reason. Like, I'll just watch Dumbo. That was not a good move.
No, absolutely not. It was the last movie I'm watching at 2 a.m.
The pink elephants on parade is just so weird.
Not a fan. Same reason I don't like Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland is just, it's too out there for me.
Yes.
Especially like with the older animation, it's just very weird.
Say Bambi. I'm not like huge on Bambi. I'm not anti-Bambi. I'm not for it. It's just there.
We all remember what we all know what we want to remember about Bambi.
Yeah. Yes.
Peter
Pan. I like Peter Pan.
I don't like Peter Pan.
You don't like Peter Pan?
I get why. Like, I think Peter Pan is a fine movie, but like, I don't like Peter Pan as a character. I think he's annoying.
My sister, one of my younger sisters, was horrified of whenever the alligator would come. Like you hear like the clock. She hated that for whatever reason when we were kids, and I think it's to this day the funniest thing. So I have the Jungle Book. None of us said the Jungle Book. I love the Jungle Book.
Jungle Book is an extremely charismatic movie.
Bare Necessities. I love that song.
Bare Necessities. I Want to Be Like You. Very good villain song because it doesn't have the vibes of a villain song.
Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Like that is very much you grew up in that Disney era.
Yeah.
You love Emperor's New Groove.
To this day, me and my best friend will just like randomly, like we're with each other, we'll just look at each other and it's like Cusco, and just start laughing because I love that movie. Great movie.
That is the what you call it, like if you were born like after 2000.
That's kind of your era of Disney, like in that weird middle. But they had some bangers.
Yeah, like Atlantis, like I said, Meet the Robinsons, Brother Bear, Emperor's New Groove,
Treasure Planet. Oh my God. I had the Treasure Planet video game for PlayStation 1, and I used to play the hell out of that.
It's a great movie.
Great
underrated
movie.
What else?
The Rescuers. I like The Rescuers.
It's pretty cool. It's
fine.
Not mice.
We've established that Brother Bear is a Disney movie.
Yes.
Fox and the Hound.
Again, that is one, like, if you talk to anybody like born like way before like the golden era of Disney, which is like the 90s, like the Renaissance era, they will hold Fox and the Hound like very, very close to their heart.
It's a good movie.
And it gets sad at the end. Like,
of course it does. It's a Disney movie.
It gets depressing at the end, but yeah, it's a pretty good one.
We have not mentioned any of the Aladdin movies. How do you feel about Aladdin?
Oh, the first Aladdin, the soundtrack is one of the best soundtracks.
Absolutely.
Like, what is the one miss? Like, I don't even think there's a miss on that soundtrack. I mean,
no, all of them are good. Whole New World, Friend Like Me,
Prince Ali, the Friend Like Me, or no, the Prince Ali reprise that Jafar does. Actually, not that bad. It's pretty good.
Jafar's a good villain. He's got Gilbert Gottfried, R.I.P. as Iago. It's a Hall of Fame cast. I love Aladdin.
Insane cast.
Yeah.
Like, it's so funny. Like, not even just looking at Disney movies, just going back and looking at kids' movies and looking at the cast that they have.
Yeah, literally. It's crazy how, and I think we're starting to see a little bit more of that now, where like you see like big animated movies that just go balls to the wall with the voice actors. Like the Secret Life of Pets movies kind of do that now, where like it's like they just every A-list comedian, singer, just fucking book them all for this movie, and it usually works.
So I'm gonna read off to you the cast of DreamWorks 2004 movie Shark Tale.
Oh my God. Hit me with it. I'm so excited.
Will Smith plays the main character.
Yep.
Robert De Niro plays a shark who leads like the mob. I love this movie, by the way. Renee Zellweger plays the love interest. Jack Black plays another shark in this movie.
What is happening in 2004?
Angelina Jolie is in this movie. Martin Scorsese is in this movie.
Scorsese plays somebody in the movie?
Yes.
God almighty.
Ziggy Marley and Dougie Doug are in this movie. Katie Couric is in this movie for some
From
reason.
the Today Show, Katie Couric?
Yes. Missy Elliott and Christina Aguilera play themselves as fish in this movie. Like, come on, man. That is an amazing cast for a movie that like is criminally underrated in the DreamWorks area.
I don't know. It's going to be hard to find like a top to bottom cast that's just star-studded like that for an animation movie. Madagascar, the first Madagascar is pretty top heavy too.
Madagascar has a good one, good cast. Kung Fu Panda.
Kung Fu Panda. Who's all in? I know obviously Jack Black. Who else is in Kung Fu Panda? I was never a big Kung Fu Panda guy.
Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan's in Kung Fu Panda?
Yes, he plays Monkey.
I didn't know that.
Seth Rogen.
That makes sense.
Angelina Jolie.
What's up with Angelina Jolie and all these animated movies?
I don't know. Dustin Hoffman.
Okay, that's a good one.
Lucy Liu.
It's a random one, but cool.
David Cross.
I love David Cross.
James Hong is in this movie as the duck, Mr. Ping, that's Poe's dad.
Okay.
That's James Hong. Let's see. Gary Oldman is in the second one. He plays
Gary Oldman, really?
Michelle Yeoh is in the second movie.
Jesus.
And Jean-Claude Van Damme is in the second. And by the way, my take has always been this. Kung Fu Panda has never missed on a movie.
I do recall you and I having a little bit of an exchange about this because, like I said, I was never like too huge into Kung Fu Panda. I'm not anti Kung Fu Panda. It was just one that I never really watched growing up.
Post Shrek 1 and 2, those movies aren't that great.
No, I agree. DreamWorks went through a little bit of a dry spell.
My take is Kung Fu Panda as movies are a better franchise than Shrek. That is just.
I would have to watch the entire Kung Fu Panda. I've seen the first one, and I like the first one. I haven't seen the rest of the series. I will say after Shrek 2, it gets pretty grim for that franchise. I
will say the Puss in Boots movie, The Last Wish, really good.
Was it?
Yeah, really good, really fun.
I haven't dived into the Shrek extended cinematic universe, so
it's really fun. The villain in that movie, Death. It's literally Death. It's a wolf that is supposed to be the Grim Reaper. It's really cool. Like
we could spend another hour talking about Disney movies. I'm sure we could.
Oh, for sure. We gotta do a soundtrack draft next time.
I'm down. Yeah, that's fine. It might look a little bit similar because obviously, like, soundtrack is a big part of Disney, but we'll make that happen, buddy. I always enjoy doing a show with you. What do you got going to SB Nation?
This weekend, covering breakdancing. That is the big thing that's on the docket this weekend. The Red Bull BC1 regionals are in Orlando this weekend, and I'm going to be covering some breakdancing starting tomorrow. Keep your eyes peeled. Keep your eyes open. I wrote a few stories this past couple of weeks about some big things going on in the NFL, like the running back situation, the Vikings competitive rebuild, which is really interesting to me. They're one of the teams I'm going to be looking out for. Okay. And just watching film, putting it on Twitter, doing tier lists, putting it on Twitter. Just got to follow along to see what happens.
And for me, watch all 3 episodes of Watch the Tape on my YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's on the same channel. So go watch all of those. Stuff coming for Bears Wire as a staff. And then I'll do more quarterback stuff on USA Today as well. I feel like I had somebody else. Oh, I'm going on a training camp tour. So if you are in Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Washington, I'm coming to you at some point this summer to see some training camp.
Buffalo, you need to put him through a table.
I'm ready, man. I don't know if they do that at camp, but I'm going to see if somebody will. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Somebody put this man through a table.
I feel like at some point we've got to do that to one another.
Yeah, of course. I'm going to try and get my job to send me to Buffalo for a game. Maybe I'll write a story about the history behind the tables, and I'll just go through a table. Really, that's the main reason why I'm going. I just
you go to wrestling school too, so you can learn how to take the bump.
I'm going to be able to take a table bump, Yeah, I hear
with that.
I hear full work rate, JP Acosta.
And this show, it's in the works right now, so I'm not going to say like anything's official yet, but it looks pretty good that we'll be doing a live show in Buffalo prior to the Bills home opener at a bar somewhere, figuring it out still. So all the kinks and whatnot are being worked out, but that'll be a lot of fun. You know what? If SB Nation is going to send you somewhere, make it week 2 on like Wednesday through Sunday. Come to the show. We'll do it together.
Absolutely. I'll see if I can make that work.
Love to hear it. Obviously, like we still got a little bit of time before that. We'll work out all the kinks. Until next time, that's JP Acosta. I'm Jarrett Bailey. This is the Pump Fake. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Stick around for more content on the rest of this channel. We'll see you soon.